Good evening and welcome to LawSikho's Thought Newspaper Analysis for the 24th of May 2023. So today we have one editorial which has been taken from the Indian Express and is titled Government's Power to Promulgate and Repromulgate Ordinances, Why and How. And it again talks of the entire service control tussle between the state and the central government, which we have been dealing for a couple of days right now. For the second and the third segment, we will be having the news update and the legal news. So the ordinances that have been promulgated by the central government basically overrides the five-judge bench verdict on the control over services in Delhi. And in this particular, vide this particular ordinance, the National Capital Service Authority has been constituted, which will be headed by the chief minister, and there shall be two more senior IAS officers in this body, and everything will be decided by a simple majority vote. However, the position of confidence that has been bestowed upon the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi makes it possible for him to voice the intentions of the central government and thereby, you know, overruling the chief minister and their necessities. So for today, we deal with ordinances and their promulgations and their repromulgations under the law as given. So ordinances under constitution would come under Article 123, where the president may promulgate an ordinance if he feels that the immediate situation needs such an action. Now, when would this be possible? This would only be possible if both the houses are not in session at that particular time, and something has to be done on an emergency basis to control a particular situation, a crisis situation. That is when the president may come forward and, under the powers imbued in Article 123, he may promulgate an ordinance. Now, while it is true that this ordinance does have the same force as an act by the parliament, the same still has to be ratified by both the houses as soon as they get, come to session. Failure to do so lapses the ordinance at the end of 6 weeks. Now, we were talking about ordinances that can be issued by the president. So, there is a very analogous power, very similar to this, also available for the government under Article 213, that they can come forward and promulgate ordinances. This again has the same limitations as the previous one. The ordinance would only be valid for a period of 6 weeks or 42 days from the date on which the new session starts. Now, repromulgation of ordinances. If an ordinance lapses, then the government has to repromulgate it. However, this is not just that simple. So, to think of it from a legislative point of view, if a government has brought out an ordinance to tackle a crisis situation, or just let's forget the crisis part, it just tackle a situation, and the houses have come back to session, but the government is not inclined in putting this issue in forward to the legislature. Instead, it lets the ordinance lapse, then repromulgates it. Again, it lapses and it repromulgates. So if the government is, doing or resorting to a behavior like this, then it basically undermines and usurps the power of the legislature and its position. Now, in the case of Krishna Kumar Singh and another versus the state of Bihar, the seven-judge bench reiterated that the legislation should normally be done by the legislature. Repeated repromulgations of an ordinance would be unconstitutional. Now, remember when we were talking yesterday, we were of the idea that since this ordinance has been brought forward by the center, it the same may again be challenged under the findings in the case of DC Warwa. So in the case of DC Warwa, the Constitution bench held that an ordinance issued by the governor to meet an emergency situation will cease to operate in 6 weeks. Now, if the government is so inclined to extend the tenure of this ordinance, then it has to do so by placing this in front of the legislature. evading the legislature through repromulgations, as I was talking about just now, that the government evades the legislature. It keeps on repromulgating an ordinance without putting it to test, or without putting it in front of the legislature to see whether both the houses agree to it or not. So evading the legislature through repromulgations would be a very colorable exercise of the powers of the government, wherein it undermines and usurps the position of the legislature. So, with this, we move on to the news updates for the day. Firstly, we have Mumbai emerges as third biggest data center market in Asia Pacific. With a total capacity of 2337 megawatts, Mumbai has emerged as the third largest data center market in Asia Pacific region, according to a report by an international property consultant. Mumbai is the only city representing India on the list, and its total capacity expansion has crossed the 2000 megawatt mark. Mumbai was ranked third on the list in terms of total capacity of data center services according to Q1 2023 report. The live capacity or the operational capacity stood at 270 megawatts, with over half of the total capacity in the early stage at 1272 megawatts. 11.55% of its total capacity is in the live segment. Secondly, BCCI announces Adidas as its new kit sponsor. The global sportswear brand Adidas will now design and manufacture jerseys, kits, and other merchandise for India's men's, women's, and under 19 teams. The contract, which runs through to March 2028, will give Adidas exclusive rights for manufacturing kit across all formats of the game. Adidas will be the sole supplier for all match training and travel wear for the BCCI, including the men's, women's, and youth teams. Starting June 2023, Team India will be seen in three stripes for the very first time and will debut their new kit during the World Test Championship finals. Thirdly, in a very proud moment for India, Neeraj Chopra is now ranked as the number one javelin thrower in the world. Olympic champion Neeraj Chopra became the world number one for the first time in his career in the latest men's javelin throw rankings issued by the World Athletics. Chopra topped the charts with 1455 points, 22 ahead of Grenada's reigning world champion Anderson Peters, who had a point of 1433. Tokyo Olympic silver medalist Jakub Waldek of Czech Republic was third with 1416 points. Next up, we have Amit Shah lays foundation stone of National Academy of Coastal Policy. Now, established in the 2018, the National Academy of Coastal Policing is the first national academy dedicated to providing training to marine police personnel. It caters to the training needs of 9 coastal states, 5 union territories, as well as central police forces. The academy plays a crucial role in enhancing the capabilities and skills of the marine police, enabling them to effectively tackle security challenges in coastal areas. Next up, PM Modi conferred with the highest honors of Fiji and Papua New Guinea. During his maiden visit to the Papua New Guinea, Modi hosted a significant summit between India and the 14 Pacific Island countries to bolster bilateral ties. Governor General of Papua New Guinea, Sir Bob Day, awarded Modi with the Grand Companion of the Order of Logoho, which is the country's highest civilian award. In the international news segment for the day, we have the World Turtle Day, which is an annual observance held every May 23rd. It began in 2000 and is sponsored by American Tortoise Rescue. The day was created as a yearly observance to help people celebrate and protect turtles and tortoises and their disappearing habitats, as well as to encourage human action to help them survive and thrive. We also have Stanford researchers develop eSkin. The goal was a soft integrated circuit that could mimic the mechanism of sensory receptors and run efficiently at a low voltage. Artificial skin will be critical to new age prosthetic limbs that not only restore movement and functions like grasping, but also provide sensory feedback, proprioception, that helps the user control the device with precision. For legal updates today, firstly, we have bail bond cannot be cancelled after transfer of case without issuing notice to accused and sureties. Now, the Kerala High Court, in the case of Muhammad Abdulla Shah versus the state of Kerala, recently held that when a court transfers a case to another court, it is the transferor court's duty which must now issue a notice to the accused and sureties, without which bail bonds cannot be cancelled. While the court observed that such notice may be given to the counsel of the accused, the same has to be issued before bail bonds are forfeited. Secondly, writ court cannot stop implementation of statutory provision without holding it unconstitutional. Now, the apex court of the country, in the case of Dhanraj versus Vikram Singh and others, has recently held that in the absence of specific pleadings, a writ court cannot get into issues of repugnancy or lack of legislative competence. It added that unless the statutory provision is declared unconstitutional, its implementation cannot be stopped. So this was all for today. For free study materials and TNA PDF slides, please join our Telegram channel, the link of which you can find in the description given below, or you can always scan the barcode that is given on your screen. Don't forget to subscribe us on YouTube and stay updated with the thorough newspaper analysis that comes out every day.